It's not uncommon, the few times that I have to preach, that Lyle Morton constantly asks me, what's the title of your sermon? And I said, I have no title. Again this morning then, he asked the same question. So I said, okay, the title of my sermon is Lavish Forgiveness, which caused Pete Fanuel to pipe up, for who? I said, for fathers, to their children, or to fathers from their children. Lavish forgiveness. So being a father is for me, and probably for most fathers, a role filled with hundreds of memories and emotions and joys, and of course, sorrows. Over the years, I've received birthday and Father's Day cards from our 3 children, along with many gifts. The importance of my Father's Day cards struck me a few days ago when I noticed that the only cards I keep propped up on my desk are the Father's Day cards. They also made me realize that the gifts I received on Father's Day were somewhat less important than the messages that the cards contained. The gifts were really nice, but the refreshing and personal words in the cards can always be read again. As I reflected on the power of our son and his sisters on my happiness, I remembered a recent men's training meeting. One reason we got together was to get to know each other better. And so one way we did this was to have one member seated in a circle of the other members. He would respond to randomly asked but appropriate and safe questions about his life. I remember a man being asked, if you could have a meaningful conversation with any person in the world, whom would you choose? I wondered what I would pick. Would it be the president? Would it be a major league pitcher on the San Francisco Giants? Would it be a major Episcopal theologian? I couldn't make up my mind when the man answered, my son. And then he added, but don't ask me anything more about it. I instantly felt his hurt. I was shocked. I really didn't know what to think or what to say. To talk with his son was more important to him than speaking with anyone else in the world. Something awful must have happened. I couldn't write this sermon without feeling his pain, as I wondered what he was feeling on this Father's Day. I wonder what his son is feeling on this Father's Day. I wonder who hurts the most. Clearly, some extravagant forgiveness is needed. And as I mentioned earlier, extravagant forgiveness is, of course, the focus of the gospel we heard this morning. Every time I read or hear this gospel, I am struck by how very bold the woman was. She was not invited. Clearly, she had to see Jesus. Both Jesus and the Pharisee instantly judged her, but they arrived at quite different judgments. The Pharisee knows her as a flaunter of the law. He does not even consider that her behavior may be the only way that she can keep alive. Jesus judges her too. But Jesus judges her not on what she has done, but on what she is doing. Her lavish washing of Jesus' feet with expensive oil and her tears vividly contrast with the Pharisees' blatant lack of respect and honor for Jesus. What had the Pharisee done? He'd broken an almost sacred rule of hospitality. The host must provide for the washing of his guests' feet as they're about to enter his house. Now, you know that at that time people wore sandals or went barefoot, and the Dron was probably literally strewn with various kinds of garbage and animal droppings. It was a tough time to walk. Yuck. So let's pick up what Luke tells us. Then turning to the woman, Jesus said to the Pharisee, "Do you see this woman? I entered your house. You gave me no water for my feet, but she bathed my feet with her tears, dried them with her hair. You gave me no kiss, but from the time I came in, she has not stopped kissing my feet. Therefore I tell you, her sins, which were many, have been forgiven. She has shown great love. But one to whom little is forgiven loves little." So this memorable drama certainly underlines the obvious. True love is not what one feels, but rather what one does. As the woman had sinned much, she lavishly repented in the only way she knew, and she was lavishly forgiven. As Jesus modeled his Father's lavish forgiveness, so we fathers are called to do the same, especially for our sons and for our daughters. The power of a father's life-giving model was recently underlined for me when I learned that 70% of incarcerated men never knew their father. 7 out of 10 of the inmates were raised fatherless. While I never heard my own father say, "I love you," I knew he did. I have many memories of growing up in the Great Depression. Money for food, rent, clothing, dental work, and mainly candy was scarce. Yet I felt secure. The rules of the house made good sense. I knew the consequences of failing to obey them. Looking back, I can see that my image of God the Father was shaped during those years. I remember experiencing lavish forgiveness after I drove a golf ball through the dining room window when my parents were not at home. There was no money for a new window, but that's another story. Soon we will say a prayer of forgiveness, asking God to forgive us errors we have made. While the confession is printed in our bulletin, the words of forgiveness are not. Why? Because to more deeply trust that they are true, we need to hear powerful words of forgiveness. Because there are many times in our lives when words of forgiveness must be spoken, ideally face to face. An email just won't do. If needed, let this Father's Day be a day when stones are taken from any wall that has been built between a beloved child and his dad. Amen.